Hey, everybody, welcome back to this life of ours. Today, I want to talk about thought errors that end up becoming limiting beliefs. Now, in the everyday world, I don't know why my brain just went to Harry Potter. In the muggle world, a thought error is basically a lie. So, why do we lie to ourselves? Why do we create beliefs that limit our potential? It's not because we're broken. It's not because we need to overanalyze every thought we have or we're not good at decisions. It's because some thoughts quietly shape the way we live for years simply because they feel true. They feel true. So what I'm calling a thought error or a limiting belief probably feels like just the truth to you. It's not even something that you came up with. It just is. Sometimes it takes something ridiculous like tuna to realize how convincing our brains can be. Let's get into it. Welcome to This Life of Ours, a space for real conversations, heartfelt insight, and everyday coaching. I'm your host, Coach Emily B., life coach, storyteller, deep feeler, and Vermont hobby farmer. Around here, we talk through what it means to grow, heal, and stay grounded in the life you've got while reaching for the one you want. I'll teach, I'll coach, I'll talk to myself. No matter the episode, I hope you leave feeling a little more connected and a little less alone in this life of yours. I'm so glad you're here. So I'm going to start this with a story about tuna. If you're in the membership, you might have heard me talk about this. If you follow me on social, maybe you saw me make a reel about this. It clearly is taking up space in my brain still because here I am and I'm going to talk about it again. But I think it's such great evidence for how powerful, how convincing our brains can really be. So I had one of these moments recently where I realized how quickly my brain, your brain, can rewrite a story and feel so true. And that pivots our action instantly. I was in New York City for one of my meetups, and we went to South Street Seaport and we went to Industry Kitchen for lunch, which it was delicious. This is nothing about their food wasn't good. No, it was a great place. And I would go again, definitely. But what happened was what I was eating was not what I thought I ordered because I thought there was a mistake. So let me make that make sense. I ordered ahi tuna nachos. Sounds pretty self-explanatory, right? I'm going to get tuna on nachos. Okay. And so the whole point too was I wanted to try something I've never tried before. And I wanted to make sure it was something that I wouldn't make on my own. Both of those were true. I've never had ahi tuna nachos, and that's not something I would make because I don't think anybody else in the house would eat it, and I'm not going to do that. So there's that. So I'm proud of myself, right? And then in comes my plate. If I can find a picture, I do have a picture. Can I share this with you? Hold on one second. Okay. Those of you on the YouTube video podcast, you're welcome. Here's a picture. So here are said nachos. If I were to zoom in on these nachos, let's see, do I know how to zoom in this? I don't. Okay, move your face closer. Make those bigger. Do you see on top? There's what I now know to be tuna. These little red pieces underneath the jalapeno, and there's lettuce, there's chips. It looks great, right? Looks delicious. Okay, I'm here to tell you it was delicious. It was really delicious until I realized what it was. So I'm eating these nachos and I'm wondering to myself, why doesn't this taste like tuna? Where's the tuna? Is there tuna? I come to the conclusion they forgot the tuna. And I decide this is great news This is great news. I tried to try something new and they messed up. So I don't have to try something new that I was a little on the fence about. And these nachos are delicious. Delicious. Seriously. Then I passed my plate across the table to somebody else who I had already agreed, yes, I will share these nachos. Absolutely. Before they came, right? So I ate half of that plate, decided pause. I think I've hit satisfied, which that's another thing. We're not overeating here. Yes, we can order nachos. No, we don't get fat eating nachos. Why? Because we pause when we've had enough and we don't make a big deal of it. Okay. There was another little mini lesson for you. You're welcome. So I pass the nachos on because I'm ready to pause. And I say to her, they're really good, but there's no tuna. They forgot. And she says, there's no tuna? And I'm like, no, nope. And I mean, I would have bet my bottom dollar. I meant it. And she, along with nearly everybody else at the table, it's like, there's tuna all over these. There's tuna all over these. So if we go back to the photo, can I just show you? Okay, so back to the photo. There's tuna all over these. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking the only thing they could possibly be looking at here is the red. The red must be the tuna. I thought the red was tomatoes. It was not. No, it was not. So in that second, first I'm in shock. Then I'm in a little bit of disbelief and humor because Emily, seriously, this is so something you would do. Not realize what's happening. And then I'm fascinated because all of a sudden, this is disgusting to me. Nothing has changed about the plate. It's the same plate of food. Not a thing is different except what I am telling myself. I went from telling myself, this is so good. I'm so proud of myself, to they forgot tuna. That amps up my ability to keep eating this, to now realizing, no, there is tuna. You were wrong. Now I have a different feeling. Do I want any of them now? Do I want her to pass the plate back so I can have a couple more bites? Absolutely not. No, I don't. That's mindset. That's mindset. That poor tuna is just sitting here like, you liked me 20 seconds ago. What happened? The reason I'm sharing this with you all is because one, it's kind of funny, but two, we do this all over the place. We do this all over the place. We think something is something and it's not. We do this with meaning. We do this with intention. We do this with assumption, and we can be dead wrong. I mean, so wrong. Tomato and tuna, wrong. And that changes our perspective from, wow, this is amazing, to, oh my gosh, disgusting. It can be that polar opposite in a matter of seconds. So, this is why I teach this work. It's not so that I avoid all these things. It's not so that I don't try new things. It's so that when things like that happen, I can understand, where's my responsibility in this? What do I have to learn here? And it also shows me the power of what you are thinking. One of the bigger concepts that we teach all throughout the week in all of our classes, without even calling it this, because it's just built into how we teach it, is fact versus story. Before we get into our emotions about things, before we freak out about it being tuna, let's get into the facts of this. So if I were to break that into facts, the fact is it was on the menu. The fact is I ordered it. The fact is other people order it too. The fact is they serve it. So I'm assuming they think it's good. Now I'm getting out of the fact. That's what the brain wants to do. It's like, no, 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 that's all true. But let me tell you what really matters. The fact is it was, or the story is it was raw. Yes. But the story that I created around that went much further than, this is ahi tuna on nachos. It started adding, I can't believe I did that. That's so disgusting. Who puts raw fish on nachos? I mean, my story just kept going and going. And the further we let our story go, the further we get from the fact, the further we get from what we make our truth with, right? So fact and truth are a little different. because my truth can be based on something that's not fact. But if it feels true to me, I'm going to run my life through it, right? Facts are very simple, they're pretty boring. The pool has water in it. Stories are layered, they're interesting, they pull people in, they romanticize things. The pool looks so nice right now. The water is shimmering and sparkling. It's got a little bit of a wave to it, and I can see the reflection of the sun. That's all a story that sounds true, but it's my perspective of that truth. It's my perspective of the pool. Someone else might look out and see the pool and go, yeah, that looks like cold water. That's a story too, but it tells a different story and it gives a different energy. What we tell ourselves brings a feeling to our body. When we feel this way, we go do things or we stop doing things because we don't feel like it. The other place that I want to bring in fact and story that has had quite the impact on me just this morning in my thinking is realizing I have been living another story or another lie without even realizing it. Without even realizing it. And this is growth, you all. It's growth to catch yourself in an area where you didn't think you were doing that, but you are. And be fascinated with that instead of shaming yourself. I can't believe. That's not going to be good for anybody when we do this. I can't believe business, or why didn't you do that, or blah, blah, blah. Not helpful. So, the fact and story of the moment I just caught was I have been living what I thought was a fact. I thought this was so true. And it ends up, it's a limiting belief. It's a story. It's not a fact. And that was, I can exercise early in the morning. The last time I had a really good exercise pattern happening, it was early in the morning. Now I coach early in the morning. I mean, I'm up and I'm at them. There's not exercise happening before that. So I had this story going that one, I don't have time in the morning. And two, I can't do it like other people because once I start my day, I'm already ready for my day. So it would have to look like this. I would have to get up, get ready, get on the computer for 6:15, do what I do, and then when I have a break in the morning, I'm going to go exercise, and then I'm going to get ready again, and then I'm going to come back to the computer. I couldn't wrap my head around that. I'm like, nobody gets ready twice or three times. People don't do that. So I would delay. Okay. Yeah, you're right. People don't do that. Let's do it later in the day. Let's try afternoon exercise. The thing about that is, well, now your kids are home and they're probably wondering, why isn't she spending time with me? Now is when she's exercising. She had all day, right? So the story just keeps going and exercise stays out of reach. This morning, I finally caught the lie. And it's not like I'm like, aha, but it's like, oh, there it is. There's what's getting in my way. And it was the belief that I would need to go get ready again to come back to the computer. That's it. That is it. It's the belief that you can't get ready for work and go exercise and then go work looking like you've just exercised. You need to go work looking like you're ready for work. So I'm proving myself wrong because I think it's important to prove this wrong. This is not a truth I want to dig my heels into. That's not even an identity I want. I don't want to be the coach who you log in and every time she just looks amazing. No, that's not real life. That's not real life. Part of my real life is walking. Part of my real life is being outside and being messy. Part of my real life is downstairs and in and out of my kitchen, trying to get dishes done or trying to do this or trying to do that. That's my real life. Part of my real life is working with you all, is coaching you. So why not bring them together? And that's what I had done. And without even realizing, I had siloed the two departments, exercise, work. They're at odds. No, they're not. They can work really nicely together if I get my mindset in a place of how do I connect the two? How do I connect the two? So I'm proud of myself again. Two things I'm proud of this week: trying the tuna nachos, being fascinated by my own mind and how quick it shifted gears there, but also testing out this thing where you have to be ready to be on camera to work. I don't know if that's true. I do not know if that's true. I think that came from years of reporting to work outside of the home. I was teaching at all different levels. And I think it was you present yourself in a certain way. I wouldn't just go to school in my pajamas and teach, which I wouldn't. And I wouldn't come here and coach in pajamas either, but that's not what I'm saying. I took that and I elevated it into that also means you don't show up in exercise clothes. That also means you don't show up in hair that looks like it's been in the wind. That also means, I had this whole list going without really realizing one, that might not be true. Two, that is getting in the way of you moving forward in your life. You've now made it a decision between your life and your exercise, your work and your exercise. That's not going to work for me. And somewhere I must have known that's not going to work. She won't ever be able to do that. So I've brought it within reach. Now I'm telling myself something that I think is actually a little more true. This is what we want. We want to catch the thoughts that are not true, and not so that we can say, "You're such a liar. You don't mean that," but so that we can ask, what's more true here? If this is not true, what is? Well, maybe it's true that you can actually exercise between clients or get dishes done between clients or mow half of the lawn between clients. Maybe. And you could still log back in. You could still, this is hair that has been in the wind. It has walked. I'm in a step bet. I could be losing my step bet because I'm also coaching. I want to do both. I want to do both. And you can do both too. It's possible. It's possible, and I'm proving it so. Not one person this morning has said to me, "What happened to your hair? Why did you change your shirt?" Because I did. I changed. I taught a class early and then I changed so that I could go outside and move around in my life. It was okay. Nothing happened. I still have work. I still have clients. I have more steps. I have more energy. My thinking is a little more clear. I might be on to something. Yeah. This is why it's so imperative that we listen to our thinking and then let's get questions, have a conversation. Don't just stop with, "Yeah, right. Good point. You would have to do that." That's where I stopped without realizing that wasn't, wait a minute, wait. That doesn't have to be the end. You can ask more questions. Why doesn't that work? Who says you have to be a certain way? Who wants your hair different? Who says an exercise shirt? Let me back up. Get back up enough. Ooh. An exercise shirt. And look at the Reebok. I'm wearing sports sweatpants because I went out in the what temperature? Well, now it's 68. It was not earlier. I went out into the cool weather because I wanted steps. That did not mean I had to have heels on or a suit or dress pants or a button-up shirt. Like, that's okay. It's okay to change, to do what you need to do in your life and come back to what else is next as you are. So you're going to see me merge my life and my work because it is one. It is one. This is not I clock in at 9, I clock out at 5. No, I embody what I teach, which means this is my work, which is why this was causing so much friction. Why am I not finding where this goes on the calendar? Oh, because it wasn't a calendar problem. It was a mindset problem this time. It was a thought error that had become so believable that you lived by it for months. And now, great news. You get to pick a different thought. You get to show yourself that might not be true. And notice I'm not like, "Hey, that's not true." I'm curious about, was that true? Is it possible to do this a different way? Is it possible to show up on the screen with a face that is not all done, with hair that's not just right? Will it still make an impact? I think what I'm learning is it will, and it is okay. And if that works for me, it works for my clients. This reminds me when my mom came to see me after I'd first had my daughter, which my daughter is my firstborn. It was such a ball of nerves. Like, what do I do? How do I keep her alive? Is everything okay? Look how comfortable I am just putting my chapstick on video with you. And she said, the doctor told me if it supports me, if it makes me happy, it's good for my child. And she took that and ran with it, but in a responsible way. Not like, well, if it's good for me to go out every night till 1 a.m., I'm doing it. It's good for Emily. No, but in a way that's, I'm not going to feel guilty for going to work. I'm not going to feel guilty for stepping out to take a break. I'm not going to feel guilty for making plans with a friend. I'm not going to feel guilty for going on a trip. I'm not. I get to do that. And I get to be here in all of these other roles. So I get to be your coach and I get to be somebody who goes out and gets my steps in. I get to be somebody who allows the wind to pop up and go through her hair and then still come back and coach the next person. So that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at fact and I'm looking at story and I'm asking myself, hey, what are we living by here? Are we staying in the facts? Are we weaving a story that supports you, that moves you forward? Or are we weaving a story that's actually causing friction? That story that's saying, I can't exercise consistently anymore because of my work. I'd have to constantly redo my hair and makeup. I'd need to change my clothes. It's too complicated. And even as I say it now, that sounds so true. It doesn't even sound dramatic. It sounds like, yeah, that's real. That's also why it's important, really important, to ask questions. Is that a limiting thought? Is it practical or does it just sound practical? Do I need practicality right now? Right? If we don't pause long enough to look at the thinking, we feel resistance, which is exactly where I was. Resistance. I can't figure this out. Because that resistance immediately assumes this is impossible. It's unrealistic, it's too hard, and it's just the way my life is now. I used to be somebody that could exercise from 5 to 5:45 a.m. and now not possible. And I'll tell you, while that still could be true, that 5 to 5:45 a.m. won't work, what that does not mean is that any minute in the morning won't work. That's not what that says. Right? That kind of asks for a question back of, okay, if that time won't work, then when will? And what a lot of us will do is come in and say, well, there's the conclusion. You're right. I can't do it then. And we think that that's just more evidence for how, see, life is different now. It's not. It's evidence of you need another strategy. You need to talk this out. You need to think this through a little more carefully. Let's read between the lines here. What might we be missing? All right, I want to invite you into reflection. What are you treating like a fact right now in your life that actually might be a story? And if you're not, if you're like, I have no idea, I don't think I am, or I wouldn't even know where to begin, where do you feel friction? Where do you feel a tension? Where do you feel resistance and you're just not doing it? What's the practical limitation or the practical reason? And then, is that true? Or are you accidentally separating things that could work together? Like maybe parenting and creativity could work hand in hand. Maybe you could be a leader and you could rest. Maybe you could have a business and take care of your health. Maybe structure gives you freedom. Maybe it's not one or the other. Maybe allowing the challenging emotions is what welcomes in the joy. right? But a lot of change, it starts with questioning the sentence that we're saying. And I think there's a lot of us that don't question that sentence because we don't realize it's a sentence that we can grab and edit. We think that's just the way it is. So please hear me say, anything is the way it is just because you think it, not because that's the way it is. The way it is going to be different for every single person based on their perspective, based on their upbringing. Okay. So the goal is not to become someone who never has thought errors or never notices, wait, that's a limiting belief. You're human. It's going to happen. Your brain is going to create stories. We're going to look for the easiest way. We're going to think that's true. But now we are also becoming people who notice when a thought doesn't serve us. It's like, that is what's getting in my way right there. Thinking that I need to go do this if I do that. Is that true? Are you willing to ask, is this true? Are you willing to ask, is it fully true? Is there another way to see this? Have I made this harder than it needs to be? Sometimes that thing keeping you stuck is not reality. It's the sentence that you stopped questioning and you just started believing. So if you're with me, grab a sentence that you stopped questioning and you started believing. Mine is, I can't exercise once I start my workday. Grab on, work on editing it and see, does that create a different existence? Do I like that? Is it possible for me? And let me know. Let me know. A closing quote for you, and this is by Adrienne Rich. Beware the stories you tell yourself. You are listening. Thank you for being here. I hope to see you again next time. I'm playing with the idea of doing a live podcast recording, and I wonder what you think about that. I can have people in the room with me, and this would be maybe a way that I could bring some more perspective into the conversation without having to put anybody right on the spot. Tell me what you think of that. As always, if you like what you hear, if it resonated with you, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. We really appreciate it, as well as our audio listeners over on Spotify and Apple. Thank you so much for spreading the work that we are doing. It helps us help more people. All right, we'll see you next time. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. If something in today's episode resonated with you, we'd love for you to share it with a friend or leave a review. It helps others find this space. You can find full episode transcripts and learn more about our amazing team of coaches at www.birchandstonecoaching.com. Until next time, stay rooted, stay resilient, and keep rising. This life of ours is worth showing up for.